Hi, I'm Janice Edwards. Coming up on Signature Silicon Valley, we're starting off with a focus on the American Red Cross Silicon Valley chapter and the efforts to help those most in need, both in Northern California and in other regions. Then we'll have a preview of the Black Enterprise Tech Connect Summit. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so we have information about a fundraiser and also critically needed tips for anyone who may need to escape a dangerous situation. We're going to conclude our show today with A-Learn. They're having a fundraiser, and a sixth grader will share how A-Learn has benefited her. It's a full show. We're glad you're with us. That's coming up now. Signature Silicon Valley. I'm Janice Edwards, and thank you so much for joining us. On our show today, we begin with a focus on the American Red Cross, the Silicon Valley chapter, and the CEO, Quinn Tron, has joined us to talk about what's going on in Northern California with the fires, as well as your efforts, and there's a fundraiser coming up. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Janet.
You know, it's a difficult time whenever we see people suffering and there have been loss of lives. And the American Red Cross is there 365 days a year for people everywhere. But during this particular time, what has been most important for your team of volunteers who've been in the fire area?
Well, thank you for having me here.
Certainly.
It's been very important for us to continue to provide comfort, shelter and care to thousands of people that are displaced by the wildfires in Northern California right now. So as we speak, our volunteers from Silicon Valley as well as from far away throughout many areas of the Red Cross are up in the western wildfires areas, providing shelters and care not only to people but also in many cases pets that are displaced. The heartwarming part is that people now can find a place to come to and get comfort and care and information as to when they can come back home, so on and so forth. Our volunteers work around the clock, literally. They also provide counseling, mental health counseling, for example, so that way when people are distraught, they know the kind of help they can get. It's very difficult for them because it's a stressful situation for the volunteers, but at the same time, it's the call that they're answering to. It's the mission of the Red Cross in helping people in times of need to alleviate suffering and pain. So our volunteers are definitely dedicated and feel quite energized by the fact that they could help.
Yes, and I've seen your volunteers in action, and it is amazing. We're so grateful for that. I'm glad that you mentioned counseling, because in thinking about this segment today, and one of the reasons I wanted you on the show, I was just struck by there are two shocks. There's the one when there's the immediate crisis, and you have to react, and you realize that there's loss. But then there's the other when you recognize there's a new normal. There may not be a home to go to.
Right.
Loved ones may be lost. Pets may be lost. There are different levels of grief, disbelief, and still people are going to have to go on with their lives. Fortunately, there's the privilege of going on with life, but at the same time, it can feel like a huge burden. What kind of counseling does the American Red Cross offer long-term, say after the first weeks or so, when people have found a new place or maybe returned home but then are dealing with the impact of the disaster?
Well, we provide caseworks, which means we provide continuing mental health counseling, for example, for people that need it. We provide various type of counseling for people, whether they just need somebody to talk to or to find information as to how to start beginning again, going through the paperwork so that way they get back to the new normal, for example. So various levels depending on the severity of the conditions and their condition. More importantly, I think it is the knowledge that the Red Cross is there to help, and that they have the community of volunteers and neighbors that care also help a long way. And lastly, this is not related to the fire specifically, but in many cases related to big disasters, people get separated. Yes. And the Red Cross provide a special service where no matter for how long a period of time, it could be years, like in the case of war or huge disasters. For example, we provide a service called Restoring Family Links, where we can find loved ones and reconnect them, and that is hugely valuable.
Oh my gosh, that is so valuable. And your particular story is so interesting because this is really full circle for you. You're CEO of the American Red Cross Silicon Valley chapter. At one time, the American Red Cross helped you and your family. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, several levels of help I got. When I was little, growing up in Vietnam, the country was ravaged by war, so myself and my family took shelters in churches, and the Red Cross volunteers operated those war shelters. So I still remember to this day the little morsel of food I receive and my families receive, and that carries us the day. Also, additionally, when my family members got to the refugee camps in Guam or in some islands in the Pacifics, the Red Cross were there operating shelters. So my family benefit from staying in shelters and get the help from the Red Cross workers.
Wow, that is wonderful. We have items here, and we'll quickly talk about these. One of the things, we're in October now, but as we're looking toward the holidays, it may not seem like the kind of gift you think about, but if you give one of these survival kits to someone, it's really an important gift and something hopefully you'll never need, but you'll always be grateful for. Right. But let's talk about some of the items that we should have, whether it's in one of those Red Cross backpacks or these, or at home. This is something that's vital. Hand crank radio.
Yes, hand crank radio, so you don't need battery, you just crank it up and tune in and get the critical information you need. And it's been in the Red Cross tradition for years. It's the hallmark of things you need for disaster. Exactly. And so to be prepared, you want to have one of those. Right.
We have emergency blankets here, and these actually are very warm when you unfold them and have them, but they're compact as well. You have ibuprofen, and also another dose of your medication is something that people should try to get a vacation dose or something to have on you. Yes. Even because if your home is destroyed, you'll still need that right away. There are a number of other items here that are important. Batteries. This is a food brick. Can you explain quickly what that is?
Well, this is a food that I think if you put it in water, it expands. Okay. And essentially it will last you for enough to last you for quite a few days, if not a week. Wow. So it's very critical. It has all the protein elements that you would need.
Right, that's great. And a whistle, those should be kept in your bed if, God forbid, you're under something and you whistle, someone can hear you and save you. So the American Red Cross has information about all of these items, how to prepare your own emergency kit or to purchase one, as well as how to help those people most in need. So the number, those details are on our screen. Please reach out to our neighbors. And for those in need, just know that the American Red Cross is there for you, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. The Black Tech Connects Summit is coming up October 12th and 13th. Here's a preview of what you can look forward to there. We are on location at the Hyatt Regency in Santa Clara, the site of the upcoming Black Enterprise Tech Connects Summit. Derek Dingle is the Senior Vice President and Chief Content Officer for Black Enterprise. Derek, nice to see you. Welcome to California. Welcome back. I know you've had several trips in preparation for this, but let's talk about this summit. How did the idea for this Tech Connects Summit take place?
Well, first of all, thank you, Janice, for having me and Black Enterprise on your program. We're extremely excited about Black Enterprise Tech Connects. And how it evolved is we've had conversations with Ken Coleman, who is a well-known figure in the Silicon Valley.
They call him the Godfather. Well, he and Roy Clay are both known as the Godfathers of Silicon Valley.
And he shared us with the rich the richness in terms of entrepreneurship and innovation that are coming from African Americans in Silicon Valley. At the same time, we discussed how African Americans in tech outside of Silicon Valley needed to meet the individuals here, needed to connect, needed to learn about the ecosystem. And then that evolved into this great event where we're going to give people an opportunity to connect professionally. We're going to give people an opportunity to show their next big ideas. We're going to have the opportunity of helping African American entrepreneurs gain access to capital, and then also to have corporations recruit that talent. So
Yes.
this is an amazing event. We're excited to be here.
It's very exciting, and I like it because it is what's next.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Ken Coleman and Roy Clay. Ken and Caretha Coleman
Yes.
are being honored, and it's obvious in a way why they were chosen, but let's talk about that. And also Roy Clay Sr., how you decided that this was the time to honor all three of these.
Well, we thought it was only fitting in terms of having an event here to honor those who blazed the trail. And actually, Ken and Caretha Coleman and Roy Clay are going to receive the Trailblazers Award. They were among the first people to bring people into Silicon Valley, people of color. They were innovators in their own right. They are the standard bearers of entrepreneurial excellence and professional excellence in Silicon Valley, not only just for African Americans, but for everyone. And we just thought it was the perfect note to start our continued coverage in Silicon Valley and our continued presence in Silicon Valley to honor them.
When you think about the fact that many times there's been a focus on a digital divide for African Americans, what do you see happening now with the Silicon Valleys, the Silicon Alleys, and all of the different areas in which tech is booming?
Well, first, in spending time in Silicon Valley, we found out that this area in terms of technology is unlike any other area. First, in terms of gaining access to capital. You know, this is where entrepreneurs have to come to get venture capital. This is the area that people come to create ideation and the revolution in technology. So I think to close that divide, and it's so important that when you look at the divide, there's multiple divides. One obviously is one of education, one is one of health. But if you solve the tech divide, it aligns with the wealth divide.
Yes.
So by creating entrepreneurs in tech, you build wealth. And by building wealth, you solve all those other divides. You solve the employment challenges, you solve the resource challenges to our community, you solve the challenges in terms of multi-generational wealth. But in this era, it all starts with technology, and for African Americans, we over-index on social media. We are among the early adopters of technology, and what this event is about is converting and sending the message out that we not only have to be consumers, we need to be producers of technology. We have to create the next idea, and this is a platform to create access to that capital and those resources and those connections so that we create a strong, vibrant producer class of technology as opposed to continuing to be the consumers.
Well, Derek, you've clearly explained why everyone has to be there, and I love it. It's the Black Enterprise Tech Connects Summit, October 12th and 13th. The details are on our screen. You've got to be there. Derek, thank you so much.
Oh, Janice, it was a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you there.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence has a special event coming up entitled Light Up the Night. The date is October 15th, and we are glad to have Kathleen Krennick, who is the Executive Director, back with us. Nice to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking.
And thank you so much for the work that you do. Let's talk about this event. It's a night of celebration and remembrance. Of course, the remembrance is the sobering part.
Yes.
But let's talk about the whole vision for the event and the celebration.
Yeah, well, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so it'll be right in the middle of that month. And the plan and vision is for people to come and be able to enjoy themselves in a way that's different from when they think of domestic violence. So, you know, it's beginning to talk about it and become comfortable with that. And so there'll be wine and hors d'oeuvres and a candlelight ceremony for those. There are 2 women who were killed this year. We average about 12 a year. and see our office and see where women come and kids come and what we do to serve that population.
Yes, and let's talk about what you do, because someone watching may be trying to decide, should I make the call or not? And we want to encourage you to make that call, to be safe in making that call. But on the other side of the call, what can someone expect if they're saying, I'm a victim of domestic violence, I don't know what to do?
Right. We have a 24-hour live voice hotline. And that means that somebody is on the phone waiting for you to call. Everything is totally confidential. You can tell us information, or if you choose to not, that's fine with us. But you can talk to us about what's going on. If you want, we can help you with options and some ways in which you can deal with this, or you can come into our shelter, to our community office, which is a crisis walk-in center, as well as many other programs. And we also have 2 apartment complexes for women who have suffered domestic violence and want to move on in their lives.
What do you think are the most critical factors for women, and sometimes men too, but specifically it's usually women, for moving on? You offer support and help people move past the fear that they can never get away.
Absolutely.
From the person.
If somebody wants to leave the relationship, the first thing we tell them is don't tell your partner, because then it starts to build, that control is being lost, and it can be a very dangerous time. It's not always, but it can be a dangerous time. So we help women, when we can, prepare them for leaving, all of the identification, everything they need, and how to do that safely. So she talks about how she thinks she can do it, and we add to that. So once she leaves, she can come to our door, she can come to the shelter 24/7, and we will serve her. We'll bring her and her children in. If they don't have clothing, which often they don't, not shoes, it's just running out of the house with what they have.
Wow.
So we'll have clothing and pajamas and things like that to help the woman get started.
Yes, and then the steps along the way to rebuilding lives. And you have
Yes.
so many success stories of women who can look back and say, 5 years ago, I never thought I'd be free.
Absolutely.
But now I have a whole new life.
Right, and we have a self-sufficiency program that can help women with financial planning, financial literacy, budgeting, job search, resume writing, and the support to help get them to that point where they can. We had one young woman who got her law degree through our program. So
Wow.
yeah, we have a computer lab for women who want to come in anytime and use it. So
And being out of that situation, I imagine that's when dreams that have long been buried start to resurface.
Absolutely.
And the sense of empowerment, the sense of being able to plan
yes.
is reignited.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We often have women will do their vision of where they want to be, and then they'll develop the journey and how to get there.
Yes.
And so they can see they do have the qualities that are necessary to go on to actually reach their vision.
Yes, it's wonderful. Kathleen, thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Certainly. We want to encourage you to attend the Light Up the Night. The details are on our screen for that. Also, if you need help, the 24-hour hotline that Kathleen mentioned is available. Please reach out. Don't suffer in silence. There is hope on the other side. A-Learn is a nonprofit dedicated to improving the educational experience of students. My guests are Daniela Rios, who is a 6th grader, and Catherine Hansen, the founder and CEO. Welcome to you both. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. Well, Catherine, I'll start with you because this is your baby, so to speak. Tell us about A-Learn and how it all began.
So A-Learn focuses on getting more underserved kids on the path to college, and we do so in math and college readiness programs in the summer and after school. And we focus on kids who otherwise wouldn't have a great opportunity either after school or during the summer to have exciting programs, fun programs, really in-depth and rigorous programs. So that's what we do.
Yes. And Daniela, how long have you been involved with A-Learn? And tell us a little bit about what happens in the program.
So I've been in A-Learn for 1 year. Last year was my first year in A-Learn. So they have a way of teaching students in a way that they they don't really have like deadlines. They just help you develop your math skills at one pace. And so they take us throughout the year they took us on a field trip to San Jose State, because part of their program is a college readiness program. So they also help you get ready for your path to college.
Wow, that's exciting. It sounds like you've enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
So how many days a week do you participate in A-Learn?
I do every day except Friday.
Okay. And so, Catherine, how is it structured for students?
So we have an intense 4-week program. Some schools have 4 days, some schools have 5 days, and it's 4 hours a day, so it's very intense, but it's very hands-on and interactive. So kids can do lots of different things. We have math activities and games, we have projects, we put them on computers, so they use Khan Academy part of the time. They interact in groups and teams. They do all sorts of hands-on activities with, graph paper and other things. So it's not boring. It's math at its real math, rigorous math, and fun math.
Oh, that sounds good. And Daniela, you've said too that it's fun. So how is it fun? Because some people might be listening saying, fun math? I haven't thought of that before. What makes math fun? It's great that it is, but what makes it fun?
What makes it fun is that sometimes we have activities, so we go around playing games. Sometimes we rotate from table to table where there's different games. There's some fractions, adding and subtracting fractions. There's some that involves using graph paper. But what makes it fun is actually the activities, and that they let you participate in groups rather than just an individual.
Okay, that sounds like fun. And October 7th is your special fundraiser so other people can support A-Learn. This is at the Computer History Museum. What's going to take place then?
So we have a wonderful evening planned for all sorts of people from the Valley, and we have business people, educators, philanthropists, all coming together to support A-Learn and more importantly, our students. So this is how we raise the money for the summer. The summer programs are free to the students, so we have to raise the money during the year to work with them.
You're also honoring some people that everyone in the Valley knows, of course.
Yes, we're honoring Dan and Charmaine Warmanhoven, who are well-known philanthropists and just incredibly generous to education and the arts in the Valley. We're also honoring students, so we have the best student of the year, we have the teacher of the year, we have the teaching assistant of the year.
Wow.
And so we pick the best and we honor them in that evening, and we really celebrate what it is to have great education that's fun but also gets kids ready to go to college, because that at the end of the day is what we want to be doing.
I can tell you're passionate about this. And when you started this, and you started to receive support, did you imagine that 9 years later you would be at this point? Or were you thinking yes and more to come?
Yes, and more to come. We're only at the beginning. We're only at the beginning. There are so many Danielas out there that really, and she wants to be a computer engineer, a computer scientist, a coder. We can get so many kids on the college track who have a wonderful future ahead of them, but they have to do so in middle school. If you don't get it in middle school, you're too far behind by the time you start high school. So that's our goal.
Yes, and you've seen then students go through the program. Tell me some of the success stories of those who've been to college and probably have talked to you about how A-Learn made a difference.
Well, one of my favorites is Glenda Vargas. Glenda was in our program before freshman year of high school, and she then no one in her family had ever gone to college. She hadn't even thought about going to college. We got her all set for becoming successful in high school. She's now a junior at Chapman University. She wants to be a math teacher. She came back into the program as a teaching assistant because it changed her life, and her goal now is to change others' lives. So she's just one example of the many students who come back later as college students to help the young middle school students get ready so that they can do what they're doing and they know what they're talking about.
Yes, and you mentioned that there's certain school criteria for students, but are any students who might be watching the program or parents who say, I'd like my child to participate in this, are they able to avail themselves of what A-Learn provides?
Yes, we don't turn down students. We go to schools, however, that have a specific demographic, because our feeling is underserved students don't get the opportunities that other students do around the Valley. And we want to bring the best programs, the very best programs, to the places that don't normally have it and to the students that don't normally have that opportunity, because they're the ones we want to get on the college track.
Yes, and Danielle, you're on the college track. Do you have a
Yes.
college in mind already, or still thinking? You have a little bit of time, I think.
San Jose State or Stanford University.
Oh, good. So you'll be close to home. Her dad is in the studio audience. He's probably glad to hear that she'll be close to him. He's nodding his head, but at the same time, those are great schools. Well, you have great poise, very impressed with you, and we wish you every success for your future.
Thank you.
Yes, and of course, success for A-Learn as well, and thank you for making a difference for so many and putting your signature in our Valley.
Thank you for having the signature of the Valley.
Oh, certainly. My pleasure. Well, if you'd like to contact A-Learn and attend the fundraiser or support in other ways, the details are on our screen. And, can you believe it? Time to go. That's our show. I'm Janice Edwards. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for putting your signature on our Silicon Valley, and thank you for contributing in so many ways that make a difference in our world. Please join us again next time. We look forward to seeing you then.